Let's continue here tonight. A trade union, Nehawu, has welcomed the Special Investigating Unit's probe into the National Student Financial Aid Scheme. The SIU investigation, backed by a presidential proclamation 6 years in the making, will probe the management of NSFAS's finances and also look into the allocation of loans and bursaries. For more on the story, we're joined by the SASCO national organizer, Athenkosi Mabona. Good evening to you. Thanks for your time tonight. Firstly, the response by SASCO to this investigation. Of course, it's been a long time coming.
Good evening, Kathy, and to your viewers at home. We have the same view together with Nehawu that the probe was long overdue. There's been alleged maladministration at the headquarters of NSFAS, which impedes on the service delivery of the very same institution. It affects a lot, the people are affected a lot by this maladministration and corruption at NSFAS is mainly students, but also the sector in general, because you would know, Kathy, that if students have not received their NSFAS allowances, or this or that student has not been funded, there would be a natural eruption of a strike, and therefore teaching and learning would come to a standstill and so on. We've long called for this probe, even under Umnumzana. We even called for the dissolution of the board, which later was dissolved around 2017-2018. So the South African Students' Congress welcomes this, and was saying it was long overdue. SIU must move with speed to uproot corruption, and those who are on the wrong side, those who are fingered to have participated in corruption, must be arrested. While there was an administrator that came in, Dr. Randall Carlson, there seemed to have been some level of stability, although we marched with Nehawu a number of pickets in Cape Town headquarters of NSFAS, arguing one thing, that there was something called, Kathy, the hand of God. Today you sleep, you have been approved your funding by NSFAS. Tomorrow, when you go to your portal, you're no longer funded. Or those who were not funded, they wake up tomorrow, the hand of God, the invisible hand, has funded them. So there was a lot of all of that. And we said Dr. Randall Carlson must be removed with speed. Welcomed it. You would remember when Dr. Blade, the Minister of Education, appointed a board official. We said welcome it, welcome the representation of the board, welcome the new stability that is being brought by the new board, which just went into huge extent, Kathy, to bring about stability. Many of students now, there's less strikes in our campuses over NSFAS. There's been a lot of ICT interventions which are student-friendly and are responsive to the crisis of NSFAS, which we've historically faced. So I say this is a long overdue. This was affecting students in the main, but was also affecting the broad sector, because if you shut down a campus and then there's a distraction in teaching and learning, it's not only us as students who are going to be affected. The workers, which are lecturers and other support staff, support staffers in the universities and colleges.
Of course, I think the difficulty here is the fact that this investigation doesn't necessarily mean some of the administrative issues that you've raised will necessarily be dealt with. Those are likely to continue for some time.
Well, of course. But we're saying, if you deal with corruption, you would have went into a huge length into dealing with these administrative backlogs that we have had or have experienced over the years. You would know, like we're saying, this invisible hand of Dr. Randall Carlson, the hand of God. If you wake up funded and then next morning you are no longer funded, what does it do to poor students from working class backgrounds? So all of that would be addressed, and would be able to know now that with certainty, here's the wrong person, here's what is supposed to be done, Here's how we can move forward and then address all of these things. Of course, we're saying this won't be an overnight thing to have a 100% efficient and effective NSFAS, but it would go to a huge length, Kathy, in saying we know there was corruption. We know who was at the helm of this corruption. We know the staffers at the headquarters of NSFAS were involved in this corruption, stealing of money or awarding of tenders to this or that person.
Right.
For example, the money question, the controversial money question. The girl was erroneously given 14 million and spent about 800,000. That's a question that, I mean, how many students would you have funded with 800,000 that was spent? How many students would you have funded with 14 million?
All right.
Which was erroneously deposited to her account by a service provider. Do you need a service provider, a middleman in this instance? Perhaps no. What are processes for appointing the service providers? And all of that, the questions we've been having all along will be answered by this probe.
Athenkosi, let's leave it there for tonight. He is the SASCO national organizer.